They are starting to OD on this Witches Road song. Episode 4 of Agatha All Along just dropped, and honestly, I think it was the weakest installment. Spoilers if you aren't up to date with Agatha All Along. Not only did we get answers to a lot of questions this episode, but we also got context to things that I found pretty confusing. Starting with the "Who's Sharon" line that Agatha delivered in that final scene, because it could have been interpreted as Agatha losing her memory right after she left that trial. And really, it was what I suspected, which is she doesn't care about Sharon and didn't care about Sharon's death. You also see her immediately recover from it. And then we get to see the contrast of her grieving for Sharon to her being like distraught over the teen getting poked. I'm gonna hold you. I felt like the teen was dragging it with that glass shard in his tummy. It wasn't even that deep. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get he was bleeding out, boom, but I don't know. I was like, y'all tripping over this little scar. Like, I've seen worse, and I'm sure y'all have too, because y'all witches. I've been waiting for Rio to join the coven because I just knew that Aubrey Plaza would have amazing chemistry with everyone and bring a very interesting dynamic to the group. But I'm not gonna hold you, I was a bit disappointed. I loved her entrance, especially since I'm sure she put on a little extra theatrics to scare everyone. I wasn't really a big fan of the acting choices that Aubrey Plaza was making. Felt like she was leaning a little bit too heavy into April Ludgate, and I really wanted to see a different performance from her because I know she can. My expectations and standards for this actress is so high because I've seen her in Legion, and in it she plays the Shadow King, which is very similar to who she's playing here, which I feel like is Death. I know if you haven't seen Legion, you are depriving yourself of peak Marvel cinema. That performance, which is still whimsical and wacky, is so much more grounded and different from April Ludgate. I personally was like, you're doing a little bit too much in this episode, and it really took me out of it. I still love her, and I still love like elements of it. I just wanted more from her. It is going on too long. I just found her a little bit annoying, and it got me so upset because I want her to be my favorite character. Now, I did love this tender moment that she had with Agatha at the end. Agatha is so often wearing a mask, so it was really nice to see her vulnerable. And it was also a great characterization of Rio. It showed that yes, she is wacky and nihilistic and aloof and annoying. She has integrity. She knew this kiss was going to happen and the prospect of them getting together was going to happen because Agatha believes that she is close to her son. So to clarify it because it's the right thing to do was pretty admirable. I had to give her propers. I will say we still don't know if this is not Agatha's son in any way. Like, it still could be the soul of Nick Scratch or something like that. Something about her saying like, that is not your son, didn't get me off the scent of it not being her son. I did find it interesting to learn that the sigil works both ways. And that's why Agatha is being protective, because she's like, yo, this may be my son and I may have put a sigil on him to be protective. And you know what? She may be right. I'm still very interested in the identity of the teen because yes, Funko did spoil it, which I saw so many people say in my comments from the last video, but all they did was give him a name. You have to remember, this is the MCU. This character may be something totally different from the comic books. Maybe a combination of multiple characters, maybe someone entirely different with the name that we know for this character. And so I believe the mystery is still there, and I implore you guys to look further than what we know and to digest this media as it is, because you're doing yourself a disservice. And then you're gonna have to hear me when I'm right later, okay? Talk shit. All of these outfits ate. I love 70s fashion, but I absolutely have to give my propers. Jennifer, who is definitely channeling Donna Summer, and Patti LuPone, sorry, I cannot call her by her character's name, who looks like Liza Minnelli. It's not lost on me that the two people who discussed generational curses was the Asian woman and the Black woman. Those are two communities that in the real world seem to suffer from it the most, or at least puts their belief in it the most. That being said, this trial scene is where they're starting to lose me. There were definitely moments that I found very compelling. Once they started talking about her mother's version of the ballad and I realized that they were going to sing another version, I got tight. And don't get me wrong, I like The Witch's Road, but it just felt so capitalistic to me to write the song again in the story. I don't know, it gave me the same feeling as like when you watch a TV show and you know they're doing like a car ad or something in it. I could just see the suits sitting at a round table like, let's manufacture a song that everyone's going to talk about out on TikTok, hit them with another version of it 2 episodes later so that we can continue with the song's longevity. It felt so slimy, and so I couldn't enjoy this. I love this version of rock. This entire scenes gave that like 80s Pan Labyrinth, horror kind of theme. I was here for it, but the song and just everything about it was taking me out. I found myself battling this scene, like I want to like it, I don't want to like it, and maybe that's what good art is. Just decided after reflecting on it that I didn't like it. I want to end this discussion with the coven and how they're getting closer, particularly in that fireside chat scene, which was by far the strongest scene of the episode. One thing I noticed was that the coven is getting closer together with everyone except for Agatha. He is still choosing to lie and manipulate them during a trial that is contingent on sisterhood. And they're able to get by, yes, particularly with Agatha and her skills, but there's going to be a point where that comes to a head. Another thing that is starting to annoy me a bit is Patti LuPone's character always complaining about the stereotypes of witches. It was a funny bit, but the way she's beginning to complain about it is, I don't know, like Larry David core. It's so frequent. I know it's going to be part of the story, but I don't know. I just wish they were more subtle. I know they're capable of it because Jennifer's story was so subtle and it told us so much. Well, we learned that she was a midlife and a doula, and she was taking advantage of men in obstetrics. That is significant for a couple of reasons. The first one being that she is Black. The entire study of obstetrics was built on torturing Black women. Another thing to note is that she is a Black woman who was practicing holistic medicine and was bonded by Western medicine in America. And that's why her being like, why do I get this generational curse? It's so hard, especially after she looked at those Japanese masks on the wall. Because when I first saw those masks, I was like, oh, are those African masks? Is that something they're trying to allude to Jennifer and her practices? And then I realized there's similarities in those Japanese masks to African masks was another connection that we have with Jennifer and the Fire Witch, which once again, I forgot her name. I'm so sorry. All in all, I thought the episode was good because the show is good. To me, it just wasn't as strong as everything else. Sorry, y'all, I'm gonna have to give it 3.5 out of 5 Frankie Flames.